Alright, so what we're doing now is we are taking our Type 99 Arisaka barreled receiver, barreled action. We are putting it into the steam pot. This is our conversion method. And yes, the steam is hot. So we'll come back in about 10 minutes, and from there it should be ready. Alright, so now it's time to pull this pig out of the steam tube. So we got our nice leather gloves on because, well, we're using welding gloves, but this sucker's going to be hot when we pull it out. Alrighty. And from this point on, we don't want to touch this with anything but gloves. Man, this is burning me through my gloves. That's just hot from the steam. When we get it over to card this, we'll bring you over to see that as well. The first thing we got to do is let it cool down. All right, we got this out of the conversion pot. We let it cool down. Now it's time to card this. And we can use a carding wheel, which we have on the other side of the shop. Or we're going to use a different method for those that don't have a carding wheel. So what we have here is actually a carding brush. And it does the same thing. I mean, but for these purposes, give me 1 minute. right, so what we just did was we got all the big areas dealt with. We're gonna have to come in with a smaller carding brush, or we could use 4/0 steel wool that's been degreased. And or another thing we have that we are going to use, if I can figure out where I set it, is a toothbrush that we use only for carding. We still have a little bit here that we have to grab. We're just going to come in. Just deal with the little stuff that we have remaining. Because after this, we have to degrease all the metal. So, I'm going to come through, inspect everything. And at this point, gloves are a must. What I use the toothbrush for is getting into those really hard to get to areas. Because to be honest, after you convert this rust is just going to flake on off. And depending on how rusted something is, you may have to convert it 2 or 3 times. Convert it, card it, before you end up actually doing the next step, which is going to be the bluing process. So I'm just making sure everything's been got. As I said, hard to reach areas, corners. Toothbrush works really good for that. And when you use this toothbrush for carding, you don't want to use it for anything else. Nothing else. Come in here. Let's go ahead and make sure all this is dealt with. All right. We're getting there. So anything that carding wheel missed, and I will not be using that carding wheel once we actually start bluing. For me, I put it on that. It moves too fast for what I want. So we are going to use alternate methods once we actually blue. So, and I'm going to show you that. Again, we're going to use steel wool, that kind of thing. Especially in, I found, especially on like barrels and stuff, as we were working on our infields, the steel wool, the degreased steel wool works really good when you are to card the barrels. I mean, you just wrap it around and just go straight down with it. Works real well. And you may be asking, why didn't I take these off? Well, to be honest, I wanted to, but our front sight here did not want to come off, and I wasn't going to force it. This is in my own personal collection, so I am cutting corners on this one, only because it's mine. If this was one of our customer rifles, I would not be cutting the corners. I would have found a way to get that off. I would have spent the extra time. I would have got it off. I would have gotten all this off. So I would not have cut any corners on it. We would put all this with all our small parts, and we would blue those separately. But because this is mine, I don't really feel like taking that extra time, even though it'll make it look better, to actually tear it all apart. Take that, figure out how to get that pin out that's seized in there. It's just, this thing has been so neglected that I can't even get that pin out. And I could potentially have to buy more parts that I really don't need to be buying. I mean, all the parts that we've already spent on this are actually not really that much. If I remember correctly, we got the rear sight stuff for it, and we got, because it's been over a month since since I acquired this, and we actually started working on it. I've been pushing it off for other things that we had in the shop. So I'm finally getting back to it. I'm just taking my time on a weekend to just get into my own stuff. That way I can get it knocked out and on the wall or in the safe. That way I don't have to worry about it anymore. So again, if this was a customer's, no, I would have torched it, did everything we could. I mean, you can barely see the pin that's in there. Just with all the rust and the pitting and everything on this, it's just unfortunate that it happened, but I'm not going to fight myself and potentially damage this barrel trying to get this off. And if it was one of our customers, we would let them know, hey, this is what we got going on here. How do you want us? This is the options we have. How do you want us to proceed? That way they know the risk involved with where we're at. So we're gonna finish cleaning this. Try to get in all the small parts as we can. It's where this toothbrush has become a real lifesaver. Gets into those places nothing else wants to get into. And what's going to be nice is when we oil this, it's going to stop all this. And we should have a nice, really, really nice looking rifle once we're done. Are we going to get rid of the pitting? No, we're not. This is part of its history. I'm not brazing. I'm not welding. I'm not doing any of that. The pitting is part of what it is. It's an old battle rifle. It's not a $1,800 shotgun owned by who knows who with gold inlays and everything. No, we're not concerning ourselves with that too much. Yeah, sorry about that. It's off camera a little bit. I kind of get when I work on these, I get in my own little world sometimes. So I'm just gonna get this taken care of. All right, good enough for me right now. So what next thing we're going to do is right next to us here is some acetone. So we're going to give it an acetone bath. In fact, pull these out. 1, 2, 3. We're going to actually give this an acetone wash three different times at the minimum. What we want is our cloth to come out looking clean. So just because you converted this doesn't mean there's dirt, grease, and oil still in it. Because watch this. So clean rag. Little dirt from my gloves from working on this. Now look. And this is just our first wash. So we got to really just degrease this so that our bluing solution will take hold. Everything has to get degreased. If you don't think it needs degreased, you're wrong. And what I'm going to rig up when we do this is I'm going to rig up to hold these separate away from the barrel so that they're not scratching in and causing issues while we do this. All right. Why did I leave the leaf spring side in, or the leaf spring in? So the spring for our rear side I left in because it was being a pain in the butt trying to get out. I didn't feel like fighting it. Well, now that we converted it, we might be able to try. If we can get that out, it'll make life a lot easier. Don't have the right bit, and I just bitched about that. Alrighty. So what we're going to do is we're going to finish degreasing this off camera. We're going to get this this spring out that we couldn't get out earlier. And we will come back to when we're ready to apply bluing solution. All right. So now comes the fun part. Oh, we're going to pull this out of here. We just have it hanging in there just so it is ready to go. But now what we are going to do is actually apply our bluing solution. So I have this all rigged up for us to put in here. So let's go ahead and start applying our bluing solution. We're going to hang this off of here. And this box here is actually our humidity box that we will be using for this. In here I've got some rust blue solution. Just makes it easier to put it in here. I'm using the cotton ball, so if you saw the cotton balls back here, you're like, what the heck is this for? This is exactly what it's for. Stick it in here, get a little bit of that bluing solution on there, and then we're going to wring it out. You don't really need a whole lot of bluing solution. We're going to take our rifle here, and this works rifle, pistol, shotgun. It works for everything. So we're going to take around the crown, down, straight stripe, straight swipe. We're trying to minimize our overlap. You're going to get, you just need just enough for just a slight sheen, and that's not going to unfortunately pick up on camera. And as I said, I'm cutting corners here because I couldn't get this off. Oh well. So like what a lot of people want to do is kind of like do this with it. No, you don't do that. So especially with this product. So what we're going to do is from here, we're just going to do long swipe. Long swipe. Until we get the whole thing. I think we got one more swipe here to do. And now I'm going to take this and do the same process. And this is going to be a little more difficult because we have these grooves for the bayonet. Where the bayonet sits. I spent all week bluing rifles, and I can tell you this product works. The product is called Rust Blue. That's the company's name. And it absolutely works, and I'm going to show you it working here. So where we missed, because our stuff was in the way, we're just going to hit real quick. And it's okay if you accidentally miss a spot on this first go around. And sometimes you may actually have to recharge your cotton ball. Like this point, I'm no longer seeing a sheen get put on. Same process. Try to get in. Oh well, we'll deal with that here in a minute. Around, around. And this actually dries pretty quick, I've noticed. But what we're going to do is we're going to let it sit and attack the metal. All right. There's that sheen. But now I'm going to, just so these kind of get out of my way, I'm just going to go ahead. And you want to wear gloves while you're doing this. I mean, we just degreased this metal. There's oil in our hands. You do not want to have oil on this or it's going to mess up everything. So again, same process for everything. Just want to make sure everything is touched. And you're not just going to do one coat and expect it to be good, because it will not happen on one application. You're going to have to do multiple applications. We have an infield barrel we're doing right now. That one's also going, it's in my personal collection. It's our 1916 dated one. And I did 3 applications. And yeah, it went from a white, and I'll show you some pictures here while we finish this, of what it looked like before we started and what it looked like after just 3 applications of this. The reason we're doing it again is because after the 3 applications, there was still some white spots that we just really weren't happy with, and decided, hey, you know what, we're going to go ahead and do it again. See how many more applications we need to make it right. So down, 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 down. Yes, again, it is very important that, and I know I don't stress it enough, it might sound like a broken record at this point, you want the metal clean. Otherwise, that's going to leave you with a whole bunch of issues when you do this. Did we forget anything? Let's get in here. I don't think we got in here. In here. All right. So what we're going to do now is we're going to throw this cotton ball away. We are going to get these hooks back in here. There's the other hook. And we're going to put it in our box here. We're going to let this sit for We're going to let this sit for about an hour, and then we're going to apply another application. And we're going to do this 3, maybe 6 times. And then we are going to and then we're going to show you the process of what we're going to do when how we actually use our humidity box to do this and what it's going to look like when it comes out. Because there is, if you don't see what you need to see when you pull this out, something didn't happen right. And I actually had that happen to me on my first time. I was like, what the heck? Turned out I didn't have enough applications on it, didn't have enough whatever, and so it didn't rust up. Didn't have enough humidity in the box, it didn't rust up. So it was trial and error to get it going, and now we got it going. So, oh man, that's been a while since that actually happened, but see, that's been maybe a couple of years that actually happened. So we're going to tackle this, and we will come back when it's time to make sure everything's in the humidity box. All right, so now we are going to have to use humidity to rust the rifle. So what we got going on in here is we've got a little box heater that's been going for about 10 minutes to heat everything up. You want it heated up so that you don't get water droplets on it and ruining your bluing and have to start all over again. So it's been running for about 10 minutes. So what we're going to do now is we're going to go grab our hot plate. So at this point, what I use is this old hot plate here. You can use child's humidifier or whatever. Anything to create humidity within the box. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to get down here. Easier for me. On this, I got this cut out here, little door flap. I'm going to pull the heater out. Where's it? Unplug the heater. I'm going to put our hot plate in here. Plug it in. And then I'm going to grab this pan of water. We're going to set it on the hot plate and close it up. That's how we are going to be introducing humidity to this. So what we're going to do is we're going to let this sit about an hour, hour and 15, and we'll come back to it and show you our results. Now this is what we want to see when we pull it out of the conversion bath. We let this reach room temperature, and look at this. We just got these flakes just flaking off, and it's like a rainbow color. So what we're not doing is we're not using our carding wheel. I have that thing on a die grinder, not die grinder, a bench grinder. So it goes a little fast. For initial cleanup, I use it, but I kind of like using this 4/0 steel wool to clean this up because I can see a lot more of what we got going on. And it's just, this stuff just flakes off after you convert it. And you get to look at that. That's just absolutely gorgeous. If you remember, this thing was almost in the white. It was just so worn out, and now look. So let's get this cleaned up. Keep forgetting about that light. Yeah, it's actually getting a little dark out. So I'm doing this. Set this to the side. We're going to need it. Small parts. As I said, tomorrow we're back on customer guns. Today it's just ours. So we're cutting our corners for time. Just so we can get it done. I'm tired of looking at it in pieces in the shop. So I just want to get back together, get it on the wall, whatever. If I put it in the wall, put it in the safe, I don't care. I just want to stop looking at it in pieces. But this stuff's just flaking, literally flaking right off. And I'm just loving it. So let's flip it over here. Let's take a look at the receiver. That's the real telltale sign here. The barrels are one thing, but these receivers are another. And look at that. This is with 4 applications of rust blue. Let's take our toothbrush. I like the toothbrush for doing this. Again, everything flakes off, but it gets in the really, really fine places a lot easier. So it just makes the job easier. I mean, you're seeing all these flakes and everything here on the table. That's what we want to see as we're doing this. I mean, we don't want... I mean, we don't want to be seeing white on our receiver. This is a rust blue. The bluing is not a top layer application. The bluing is actually in the metal. So it's harder to wear out, more durable. And yeah, I know it's not a Cerakote, and I do not ever plan on doing Cerakote, but I like the finish of a rust blue because the last step we have to do on this is we have to actually oil the metal. And the one thing we got to remember when we oil the metal is not to use a gun oil. That will literally ruin everything we just did on this. A gun oil will ruin everything we just did. So I see people using kerosene. You want to use something that's like water soluble, won't actually you don't want anything with a rust inhibitor. What I use is used motor oil. So this motor oil, I've been in cars for anywhere from 5 to 10,000 miles. And I got a 5-gallon bucket actually sitting right next to me. And what this is going to do is it's going to be our first initial oiling of this rifle using that. And we're going to actually let it sit overnight. And with tomorrow being a work day, we're probably going to let it sit all day as well, so that we can get other stuff done and not worry about this. And yes, I am actually what I'm going to do is I am going to stick it receiver in the bucket. I'm going to hang it so that it's not touching the bottom of it. But what we're going to do is we're going to hang it, and we are going to then, whatever's sticking out of the bucket, we're going to use a paintbrush to paint over the surface. And what this is actually going to also do is, we have this dark gray finish now. It's going, by putting this oil on, it's going to turn this pretty much black. And you're going to see that when we pull it out of the oil tomorrow. Because we'll put it back on the bench and show you. I'll stay late. I'll do this stuff late afterwards, after I'm done for the day. So just get in here. This is what I'm saying. Toothbrush is really good inside of the receiver, where we can get all of this. Rotate. Really been wanting to get this done since I started tearing it apart. Just as usual, don't have the time. Make excuses. Must be a guy thing. Get so many projects in the way, and then it's just like, okay, I'll do this later. Later comes, and you're just like, I'll do it later. Oh well. Well, here's later. I'm tired of it. But It's not actually turning out half bad. Could be worse. Could be worse. Alrighty. So I'm going to finish carding this. And you will see me. The next time you see this, we will be pulling it out of the oil. So we'll see you then. Alrighty, so we got the bluing done on the Arisaka, and I'll be honest, it turned out really nice for her. Going from the rusted hunk of junk that she was to this beautiful piece of artwork. So our process was very old school method, I guess you could say it like that. We went with the rust bluing instead of a hot bluing. I wouldn't even consider cold bluing a real bluing, but I prefer a rust blue. It just comes out really, really, really beautiful like this one did. So our next video is going to be the part 2 to this video, and the only reason we didn't include it in this is just because of how long the video took. So I mean, this one we're approaching over 40 minutes on. Our next one is going to be about the same. So unfortunately, we couldn't just squeeze them both into one episode. So this will be a second video for the woodwork, and we will also show you the before and after on that video. So we look forward to seeing you there. If there's anything you would like to see, just let us know in the comments below. And we will see you next time after you hit that like and subscribe button on the Armory.